What's going on, everybody? Doug here, co-host, co-producer, and co-creator of the Genre of Your Life podcast, here with a overdue review roundup episode, but may I say justifiable, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, review roundup episode for you all this week. Again, like I said, one of my goals this year, as you all know, probably listening to the podcast, was to be better with my review or these producers playable, newsletter episodes. But the reason why, okay, first off, on this week's review roundup episode, of course, I have my reviews of Send Help and Shelter. As always, on brand, per usual. Two very, 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 and I mean very different movies to review for you all. Again, that's why you're here. It's kind of the DNA and the heart of these kind of review episodes is that I give you the most randomest reviews of the most randomest movies that are so opposite from each other. Again, different genres, different style, different everything. And again, you got a horror movie here, you got an action movie. But again, like I said, justifiable is because I began a new job. And again, we don't talk about a lot of personal stuff on the podcast. We do time actually. I that's a lie. I haven't had the best luck with jobs over the past couple of years. I was at a company for about 4 years. As you all know, I was at Paramount for 4 years. I was a little bit of sabbatical, a little bit, and I came back to Paramount. Again, past year had not the best luck, I'll be honest, with jobs. So, I'm kind of finding my footing again. So, and as you probably know too, I'm someone who's, who's very preferably to be remote or hybrid. But I've taken my last job was actually overnights remotely. Again, one of the two things were great, other part not so much, which was being working overnight. So now I'm fully back in person, have a commute, the whole thing, have my little coffee mug, everything in my little backpack. So I've been on the go, but I'm going to try to hopefully have a routine going for this new job, which means I got hopefully be in my routine of getting these review roundup episodes out on a regular scheduled basis. So bear with me. But again, I call myself out a lot. I am my own worst critic when it comes to, being behind on things. And again, like I said, justifiably, because I began a new job. But again, I'm here now. This will be accompanying a full episode of the podcast this week of the boys, me, myself, and myself, Moses, and Nick. Again, finding our groove a lot more in the past year. All three of us have kind of I feel like we've been on a nice rhythm and groove for the show the past about year since I think even end of 2024. I want to say, probably when we begin the video element of the pod. So again, we'll have a full episode of the podcast accompanying this. I'll have my review of Crime 101, and I think we're gonna have a Valentine's Day. First off, happy early Valentine's Day to you all. If you're single, married, situationship, friends with benefits, anything, starting to sing someone, listen, I know it's a strange day for a lot of people, good or bad, of course, but happy early Valentine's Day. I think we're going to make next our episode going to be Valentine's Day rom-com themes. And I speak for myself. I know the boys and I are all sucker for good rom-coms. So look out for that. We'll probably do our favorite rom-coms, kind of retrospective. Look out for that. So yeah, a lot of cool things in February. I'm going to I am starting to plan my South by Southwest trip this year. I'm going with our friend Nino, friend of the show. Nino probably saw on our social medias from Instagram and TikTok and all that, and YouTube as well. I'm going with him this year, and getting all of our emails and getting all of our kind of scheduling in. Definitely good schedule coming out. Good schedule of movies and films and projects this year, hitting South by in Austin. Gonna be a great time last year. We were very honored to go back again this year as official press. Hopefully I'll have my schedule ready for that. I definitely want to do a kind of like a preview show with Nino and our other friend Seth, who also is going this year. So look out for that. I'm gonna hopefully have that early March before we go. So I'm gonna schedule that with the guys. That's fun to do. And then again, if not, I'll have my own kind of what to look for, kind of like what I'm covering, stuff like that too. And I'm starting to send out my emails of things to cover, things that people want to speak to, and interview. So hopefully things go well with that. So look out for that. So again, a lot of cool things in February, and then March is going to be extremely busy with South by. And we have a ton of screenings in March, which is awesome. I can't wait. Listening like Project Hail Mary, the new Colleen Hoover adaptation, reminders of him. So it's gonna be a lot of cool things. I think it's him or you. So a lot of cool projects on the pipeline upcoming. So a lot of things cool to cover. I know we have a lot of movies coming out this month, actually, with February, with Wuthering Heights. I'll probably say that this weekend. I know we have Scream 7 coming out in a few weeks. A few indies to catch up on as well. And something else is coming out this weekend, too. I'm trying to think. Bear with me here, folks, for a second. Wuthering Heights. Except Crime 101 will be my review for this week's episode. Oh yeah, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which is Gore Verbinski, who did the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Also The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage. Very Rango, very eclectic director, but I think he kind of fell off. I think he made a movie a couple years ago, I think something about wellness, Cure for Wellness. I think it was a Fox movie, and people said, no thank you, that movie did not do well. I remember it came out in college. I think no one saw it. I think it got pulled so early. I haven't seen it, but I might check it out now, actually. Now I'm more intrigued. But I'll probably check up with Wuthering Heights this weekend. And Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. If I have time, go. We'll see. I had the Regal Pass for a reason. But of course, everyone, of my rambling, of course, as always, you can find this show on your favorite podcast platform. Whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and of course, or your favorite podcast platform of choice. And of course, as always, you can find this video element of our show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. Whether you're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, don't be shy. Don't be a stranger. We know you're lurking. We know you're watching. Please feel free to leave a comment, review, a rating. Please, we hear from you guys. Negative, neutral, positive, we will take it as long as you're listening and leaving us feedback. It means the world to us. Listen, we read all the comments. We do. We're not supposed to, but we do. All the comments, all the, on our YouTube and our Instagram or TikTok, all that kind of stuff, and of course on our podcast, all the podcast platforms. So don't be shy, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be a stranger. Please, definitely leave us a review, leave us a comment. Again, your feedback means a lot to us. It really does. Again, what's working for you? What's not working for you? What do you want to see more of? What are you intrigued by this element? Let us know. We want to hear from you guys. So let us know in the comment section below. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or Spotify. Again, our favorite podcast platform of choice. And again, of course, we still have our ongoing goals of 200 Apple Podcast ratings. Again, that really helps us a lot. Again, that helps us out with more coverage, more access to coverage for other screenings and premieres and festivals, all the good jazz. Helps us out a lot. And of course, YouTube is also, we're at 79, 78 now, and that 1,000 is going to be massive for us, guys. Hitting us that 1,000 is going to be a huge threshold for us. So again, your feedback and support really means the world to us and has helped the show out so much. I think we're also surrounding our 100th episode, which is crazy, and I had an idea to do a little giveaway, so look out for that. But yeah, guys, don't be shy. Let us know in the comments in the rating section, review section, because again, we do want to hear from you all. So thank you all for tuning in every week, supporting the show, and listening to us ramble about things, movies, TV, entertainment. And speaking of rambling, let's move into this review roundup episodes, movies. And again, first, as always, I'm going to review these in order. Again, I'm going to talk about Send Help, which is Sam Raimi's movie, return to horror, I would say, for him. As a director. Sam Raimi, you don't know, I mean, again, legendary. I grew up with him as being one of my heroes because he made the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire, and those movies, as you all know, if you don't know, is a big part of my DNA, a big part of why I love movies, why I love Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is my favorite superhero because that was my first superhero movie was Spider-Man. The first comic book I ever read was Spider-Man. So Spider-Man means the world to me. It really, really does. I mean, it really does as a character. So Sam Raimi, to me, I knew him as a kid because of Spider-Man movies. And as I got a bit older, got more into horror. I went back and watched Evil Dead. I went back to Ash versus Evil Dead, or Army of Darkness, whatever it is, Army of Darkness. So again, fan of him as a filmmaker overall, but seriously, Spider-Man, though, is kind of his bread and butter, for me at least. But no, he's definitely a master of horror. And I wasn't the biggest fan of his Doctor Strange. It was fine for the most part. I was kind of hyped for Sam Raimi coming back, all the cool surprises and reveals, and it was kind of very kind of lackluster. Hey, listen, it made a bunch of money, damn near $1 billion, because I think it had the hype of like Spider-Man No Way Home coming up like right before it. So yeah, it had a bit of a hype, of course, with that movie, but whatever. But to me, I haven't seen Drag Me to Hell. I haven't seen Darkman. A few others too from him. Let's see. Simple Plan, haven't seen. Darkman, The Gift, and a few others I haven't seen. But as a producer, I've seen a lot of his movies like Don't Breathe and Locked and the Evil Dead remake from 2013 by Fede Alvarez. He's been producing a lot more, which I definitely admire and appreciate. But as a director, he kind of took a break for a little bit after Oz, Great and Powerful, which was not a good movie. I remember seeing this in high school with my brother. We're like, this movie sucks. But again, the overall, I'm not going to give him one. just because one bad at The Office won't tarnish your legacy. But seriously though, but Sam Raimi, who again, I think a master filmmaker, but also as a horror. And Send Help was one I was kind of like, oh, cool. It's cool to see like it's a Fox, quote unquote, now Disney released horror movie, original horror movie by Sam Raimi with a great cast from Rachel McAdams, Dylan O'Brien. And you're kind of thinking of like, wow, like this could be either really good or it could be really, it could be a gimmick. And before the embargo lifted, I was hearing great things about it from critics and other podcasts, other film people, and I was like, okay, cool. And then a lot of my friends who saw it early said, "Oh, yeah, the movie's gonna be great. It's bonkers, it's crazy." Like, cool. People I trusted were like hyping me up. But before that, of course, Send Help. A woman and her overbearing boss become stranded on a deserted island after a plane crash. They must overcome past grievances and work together to survive, but ultimately, it's a battle of wills and wits to make it out alive. Pretty good description. And I gotta say, listen, whatever genre for the most part, I just love seeing original genre films on the big screen. I mean, I really do. And I say this a lot in all my reactions, all my reviews, is that, I feel like we're seeing a lot of these genre films. Again, horror still is very, I think, prominent in the box office. But, there's a lot of times where I'm like, again, I sit myself like, this easily could have been a Hulu movie or a Netflix movie. And again, a lot of genre films go that way because it's more accessible now, and it's more of a easy green light for a lot of people from streamers and other production companies. But there's something about seeing a master horror filmmaker like Sam Raimi make an original movie again for the big screen. Because again, not everyone can do it, but unless you're like a Tarantino and a Nolan and Ryan Coogler now, PTA to a degree. There's a lot of filmmakers who made original stuff now are kind of doing it for streaming or not the way it used to be with theatricals. So again, seeing that Sam Raimi was able to do this for the big screen was very rewarding, very refreshing. And speaking of which, this is Sam Raimi back in his element. I think he kind of hit of a stumble with Oz, Great and Powerful, and Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I haven't seen Drag Me to Hell. I know people love that movie. And I think that came out shortly after Spider-Man 3. And again, Spider-Man 3, I know people don't like that movie as much. I like it for a lot of nostalgic reasons, a big part of my childhood. It's definitely the weakest of the trilogy, but I still enjoy the movie quite a bit. But again, I think when Drag Me to Hell came out, it was like Sam Raimi going back to his roots after being in the comic book world for almost a decade with Spider-Man. But again, though, when watching this movie, I was like, oh, you're getting the bonkers and weirdness of Sam Raimi from the Evil Dead Sam Raimi and Army of Darkness Sam Raimi, mixed with what you love about the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. I love Castaway, and it's really cool to see him kind of like merge those two, whatever, like horror movie on a desert island with two survivors. Okay, good pitch. And I got to say, watching this, it's definitely a crowd pleaser. It really manages the horror and comedy and the bonkersness of it really well. And again, that's why I think filmmakers like Sam Raimi can merge these genres or kind of do a little genre hybrid thing very well and very masterfully. But I'll tell you what, you see her on the poster right here to our visual watchers. Audience, Rachel McAdams in this is truly remarkable. She is so good. I'm a huge fan of her as an actress. Of course, Mean Girls, even Wedding Crashers. But this movie, you see a completely different side of her as a performer. This is a whole different kind of character she's playing. And this is her movie. Listen, Dylan O'Brien, I'm a fan of. No. This is Rachel McAdams' movie through and through. And she steals every scene. She's scary. She's funny. She's nurturing at times. She's very I don't know, because right off the bat you feel for her because again she's in this position at her office. Again, not spoiler of course, where she's kind of like the awkward one in the office. She means well. She works hard, gets the work done. But she gets no respect. She's treated like shit from everyone, from the coworkers to the interns to the bosses. and you feel for her. But yeah, she's awkward. She's definitely socially awkward, but she wants to fit in. She wants to feel belonged in her office, in her workspace. And I get it. For all of us who worked in an office before, or worked as an assistant or lower, or someone who's more lower position, you want that respect. You demand that respect in a way, because again, if you've been there for a long time, you put in the work, whatever. You want to like have that respect that you think is earned and given, and rightfully so. And once this plane crash happens with her and her boss, played by Dylan O'Brien, and Dylan O'Brien's douchebag associates and his friends he hired some of his friends to be his former and now his current associates. And when it's just them on the island, you're like, okay, how's this going to play out? But Rachel McAdams steals every scene, and she's so damn good in this. And there's times where I was genuinely frightened of her, because when she's like in this kind of survival mode, like, you don't know what she's capable of. I mean, you thought you did with her kind of being this like, oh, kind of nerdy office person, but nerdy office employee. But no, it's barely what we thought wrong. And she again plays this really twisted character, but has layers to her. And again, you can tell she's having so much fun again, because she's definitely playing against type. But something about her performance is really, shines. And again, it's cool to see an actress like her, of her caliber, work with someone like Sam Raimi, because I feel like they work so well together. And I'd love to see them work together in the future. But Rachel McAdams steals the show. And there's a couple things where I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my Lord. And throughout, she keeps surprising us of like what's gonna happen next. What will she do next? And there's a lot of things where she does that is morally not okay and incorrect, but at the same time, if you were in her position, if you were treated the way that she was, you're kind of like, it's kind of justifiable to a degree. And there's I was like, oh my God, like she's really going there. Her character's really going there. But again, it's just a really fun performance to watch. And it doesn't help. It helps too that her and Dylan Brown had really good chemistry in this. It's a very kind of like, okay, like you hate each other in the office, but now you're allies. You're allies of survival now on this island. What's going to happen? At times, very, I would say, maybe uncalled for sexual tension. Like, is it going to happen? Like, what's going to happen here? And again, Sam Raimi kind of like he lures you in a way of like, okay, like you're watching these two characters. Dylan O'Brien plays this awful, piece of shit, entitled, privileged, scumbag. Again, who his dad was CEO of the company. Now he's running the company, and you can tell that he has no experience running a company. He's a womanizer. He's a misogynist, and again, he's engaged to a beautiful woman, but he's still hiring people so he can flirt. Kind of very, very #MeToo Harvey Weinstein-esque. You're like, ugh. And so again, he right off the bat, he's a scumbag piece of shit. But when they're on the island and he thinks he can still pull rank, like, oh, I'm your boss, whatever, Rachel McAdams shows him quickly like, hey, listen, on the island, you ain't shit. Like, we're on the same level. It's all about survival, homie. Like, you either fight to survive, or you're gonna be dead. And again, I love that Rachel McAdams took no shit from him on the island, where it was like, hey, this is gonna happen. Here it is. And again, it's a lot of this kind of really, someone put it the way perfectly. It's like almost like if you put Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny on an island for an hour and a half, because it's so like how different they are in people and characters and mannerisms and everything. And whoever said that was like, that is spot on what it is. It's literally Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny, hour and a half, very Looney Tunes-esque, of like how opposite they are and how they're just going at it every time with each other, arguing, they're fighting. It's like, oh my gosh, get over it. But at times, they are friendly. What's going to happen with that? So again, I think it's definitely credit to Sam Raimi working with, getting two amazing performances out of these actors, but also it is talk about the right script, the right material, the right people involved, and this shows. What I will say about this is that for a movie, it's kind of like on a desert island, kind of like, stranded, it's a little too polished. Like, it feels like you're watching, like, you're on a stage or a sound stage somewhere, which they probably are. I've seen other films, even Castaway to a degree. I've seen other films that are talking about, on desert island, stranded island, whatever, and you think it feels more rough and it feels more kind of like grungy and dirty and gross. And this kind of feels like, oh, this is like a Hollywood-esque, like very clean, very like, oh, like, okay, like this is it's a little too clean to be a desert island where like they're trying to fight. Like, oh, like the palm trees are happen to be in the shade so well. Like the sand is very brown and like really the grass is really. It's like okay, it looks a little too polished for my take. When I was watching it too, I was like, it seemed like almost like a private island for like a cruise or like a vacation, like a vacation club. You're like, it's a desert island, but this is like a nice one that I would travel to for my own vacation. I was like, I don't know about that. So I was kind of like, I don't. It took me out a bit where I was like, okay, you're supposed to be, you feel that you're on this island, but it felt like they were on like vacation sometimes. Where I'm like, it took me out a bit. And speaking of which, the VFX in this, I know it's a $40 million budget movie, it's lower budget even for Disney and Fox standard, but man, the VFX and visual effects, the visual effects in this, special effects in this are bad. I mean, they are bad. And when you see certain things, like certain creatures or certain things, I was like, or the plane crash, again, it's in the trailer, you're like, yeah. So you can tell that not a lot of money was spent on the VFX special effects, but it's like 2000s, like almost like early 2010s. But even then, though, I mean, we had great VFX with Transformers and Harry Potter, a lot of movies in the 2000s. This is like a big setback where I was like, wow, they didn't really spend any time with the VFX, or if they did, they rushed and breezed right through it because when the VFX are there, you're like, oh, this is like video game cutscene, like computer game graphic bad, like from the 2000s, maybe late 90s, where I was like, oh, it took me out where I was like, stop showing things in VFX because you're like, you tell it's bad, whatever. So I'm like, someone else said this too. I think it was my friends, my guys that double toasted. It was like, people who were loving this movie, 93% Rotten Tomatoes, all these great reviews. I kind of wanted to like it more. Like, I liked it quite a bit, but I didn't love it the way everyone else did. Where I was like, oh, I'm gonna walk in like, just be blown away, be like, oh my gosh, this is good, this is insane. Again, liked it a bit, but I was like, I wanted to love this, and for some reason, it was holding me back a bit. Maybe I was like expecting a bit more, like a game changer, and this is not a game. This is definitely like a crowd pleaser. Has elements of kind of like an old school horror thriller movie. Again, has a very Sam Raimi stamp all over it, with some of the camera shots, some of the camera angles, some of the kind of like how he ends a scene to a new one. A lot of scene transitions is very Sam Raimi. But I was sitting there, I was just like, yeah, I want to love this, but I'm liking it, and I don't know, something was holding it back for me to a degree where I was like, yeah, I want to love this, but I'm having a time, so I'm gonna like this movie. The ending is the third act kind of like finale definitely goes off the rails a lot. That's where it goes kind of very Sam Raimi Evil Dead, where I was like, oh, I've seen this before in Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. I was like, oh yeah, this is Sam Raimi definitely unleashing all the Sam Raimi-ness. And I was like, oh, here we go. Again, still very enjoyable. Again, like I said, it's very Castaway with a bit of Evil Dead, with a very kind of like, what someone said, like horrible bosses. Yeah, maybe to a degree. This scene right here, if to our audio listeners, the scene where there's I don't want to give too much away, but this scene really had me uncomfortable. Why I had to look away, where I was like, oh no, it's a great misdirect. I'll say that much. It's a super great misdirect because I felt queasy and I felt very like, oh, this is really happening. What in the actual hell? I was like, oh, no. And then when it's revealed what actually happened, you're like, whew. And I was sitting there really, like, I was like squirming, I had my hand on my face. So I was like, ooh. And again, it's about the humor. When the humor is there, the humor definitely works for the most part. I saw it on a matinee on Tuesday after it opened up on the weekend, about a week ago. And matinee, pretty packed for a Tuesday matinee. I mean, 1 in the afternoon, whatever. And there was a group of ladies, I think maybe because of maybe a office outing or whatever, they were laughing the entire time. Like, things that weren't that funny, they were hysterically laughing. They were in hysterics. And I was like, okay, I mean, man, this movie's working for them. Maybe they've been that way before, working as an assistant or really awful boss or really dipshit boss. But they were laughing at every little joke, every little kind of awkward moment. You're like, oh, wow, this works for them, I guess. And I chuckled and I laughed, but they were like, oh, they were like, clapping, and I was like, oh, good for them. They're liking it. Little movie outing. But yeah, there's things where I felt a little queasy, where I was like, oh, they're taking it here. I don't know. I don't feel about this. But again, it's all about survival. It's survival. It's survival of like, hey, who's really who's gonna make it out alive here? Who's gonna make it out? Are they both gonna make it out? It keeps you guys keeps you on your toes throughout the entire movie, and I was intrigued the entire time where I was like, what in the hell is gonna happen? But yeah, that third act goes full Evil Dead, same Raimi-ness. And Rachel McAdams, who again was just a really beautiful woman, and really talented. They do a good job of making her look very ugly, when not ugly, but like really unattractive and not wanted, in the office that scenario. But when she gets to the island, she like gets more beautiful. I mean, you're like, oh my gosh. And the island does her justice because her hair looks good, her skin looks great. You're like, oh wow, it's very, very night and day, and it works. You're like, oh my god, whoa. So and it shows like, hey, who's the alpha here, who really knows what to do. And it's very Sam Raimi has his stamp all over it. They have the old school kind of like Hollywood, like, genre horror thriller vibe to it. Again, it very Castaway. But again, I give props that Disney and Fox really believe in this movie to get a wide theatrical release, with Sam Raimi attached, with his cast attached. And I'll for sure watch this again on streaming, maybe buy it on Blu-ray or a cool steelbook. I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Again, a few things I had an issue with, like I said, that wanted to love it, but I think it was maybe a little too overhyped for me. Again, it wasn't a game changer, and a few things with story elements where I was like, this don't work for me as much. But again, the ending kind of like, it feels a bit rushed, where I was, third act is bonkers, and I enjoyed it, but like the actual ending, I was kind of like, I was happy the way it ended, but also I was kind of like, it kind of feels just a little bit rushed in parts, I would say. But yeah, solid 7.5 out of 10. Check out, definitely watch it with a crowd, if you can. We're seeing in theaters, no doubt about it, but if you can see it with the crowd, it definitely is a crowd pleaser, like I said, and definitely would enhance your experience watching it. So that's Send Help. Now, moving on to a movie that needs help. And this movie is, well, for me at least, this is Shelter. This is Jason Statham, once again being Jason Statham in this action movie. And I'm gonna lie, you probably heard my reviews for, if you haven't heard my reviews for Working Man last year, or even The Beekeeper. I'm a sucker for films like this. Statham movies especially, it's kind of like how Liam Neeson had that kind of run of like, just like, it was kind of like really like, Nonstop, Run All Night, Taken, Unstoppable, not Unstoppable, Unknown, and The Commuter, and I mean everything. There's that run where it was like, hey, Liam Neeson on a train, Liam Neeson as a horror hitman being chased by the mob in New York. Okay, Liam Neeson, his whole memory's gone. It's like, wait, it was like kind of like, what's Liam Neeson doing next? And I feel like now Jason Statham is doing this. And Statham is like an operative of the Black Ops. Now he's operative of the U.S. Army, and now it's MI. Okay, like he's an operative, former ghost or assassin, or whatever. In a lot of these movies, and I'm like, all right. And again, Working Man, people kind of dog on it. I had fun with it because it is ridiculous. It's so over the top. It's so like, oh my god, are you for real? But man, I remember seeing that with Nino and our friends at the press screening last year, and we were just laughing because it was so goofy. It was over the top, but it was so much fun. And I thought Beekeeper tried to be serious, and I was like, no, embrace how silly you are. Embrace how over the top this is. And again, I still gave Beekeeper like a solid, I think, 3 out of 5 when it came out. I think I gave Working Man a 3.5. Again, so again, I'm a fan of these movies. Not all of them. Especially his early time 2010s one or 2015 mid 2010s Statham movies kind of blend together. But he works well on ensemble. Like, he's so good in Spy because he's kind of making fun of himself in Spy. He plays a good villain in Fast and Furious and Fast 7 that I guess turned good now in 8, 9, and 10, whatever. Or 8 and 10, whatever. So I am a fan of him. But again, Shelter. And bear with me here because you hear this, you're going to be like, wasn't that his movie from a couple years? Okay, well, whatever. Shelter, on a remote coastal island, another island, a former assassin living in self-imposed exile rescues a young girl from a deadly storm. As their lives start to intertwine, he must protect the orphan while battling enemies from his past. And again, he's a former operative of a government or Black Ops program or Special Ops program. And here you go, it's Statham. I gotta be honest, I saw because again, having the Regal pass, like, you know what's playing right now? Let me go check it out. Some time to kill. And I know I wasn't walking in expecting, like The Godfather or anything crazy or anything that, or Sinners or anything like, oh my God, this is gonna change the game. Like, this is gonna be crazy. No, I think it'll probably be an hour and a half. How long is this movie? Hour and 47. Okay, cool, 2 hour action flick. I liked Working Man last year. I gotta be honest, 20 minutes. Okay, so 20 minutes in, I was like, oh, is it gonna be like him on this island for most of the movie? I was like, oh, I can get with that. Or I was like, oh, it's gonna be like maybe more subdued, maybe more like, maybe more him kind of like living in exile, kind of like they come to him. And I was like, oh, okay. But what I said in my tweet, and also I said when I walked out of the theater, is like, this movie is the equivalent of saying, when people say, hey, we ask your parents, hey, I want McDonald's, and they go, oh, no, we have McDonald's at home. We have food at home. It's like, oh, man, not the same. This is basically me saying, okay, cool, I have John Wick at home, because this is what this movie is. This movie wants to be John Wick. It wants to be the Equalizer. It wants to be a lot of things. You're just like, okay, like, really? Okay, like, sure. It's super derivative. It's nothing original. Like I said, this is one of the movies that he does where it kind of blends together with all those movies like A Safe or Parker or whatever. I'm like, okay, but now they're talking about AI. They're talking about like advanced technology, next advanced weapon, the whole weaponization of technology and AI, and that whole kind of thing. I'm like, oh, it's one of these, whatever. So the movie's not original. It's not. And again, it's one of those you're gonna be like, okay, it's another very kind of generic action movie where I was like, okay, you're just Statham now in this situation. But when the had 21st 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, cool, we're gonna be more again. Oh, we're pulling it back. We're gonna be on an island, on a lighthouse, with a lighthouse. I was like, oh, I'm with this. After 20 minutes, you're like, nah, you're going this whole manhunt across Scotland and England. I was like, yeah, here we go. I should expect it. And I was kind of bummed. I was like, oh, because I was digging the atmosphere and the vibe. He's in his lighthouse. He's drinking. He's in his exile. He has a dog, living a very minimalist life. He gets supplies on a boat from this little girl and her older uncle. You're like, okay, this is like, I'm with this. And then when it becomes kind of like him kind of like protecting this orphaned girl, you're like, okay, it's gonna be like I'm the guardian kind of thing. It's like, okay. And again, I'll be honest, like, so many movies now are talking about like AI this, AI that, it's gonna be this. It's like, I gotta be honest, I'm getting tired of AI movies or AI revenge. I'm like, oh, like, like the reason why we're coming after you is because our new advanced technology system which is they're saying AI. It's like, oh, it's being evolved now. It's like, man, it's such a cop out, such a generic kind of overly used plot device now. I'm like, oh, please, why are we doing this? And this movie is no stranger from being, again, cliched and derivative. And again, the choreography in this is really cool. He's again, I won't talk shit to Statham because, again, he's a badass. He can kick anyone's ass, kick my ass. But there was parts where I was just like, okay, it showed potential of like what could be a bit different. But when it goes a certain way, you're like, yeah, I should have known this was going to go this way. Like, it's going to be this. But again, some of the fight scenes are really cool. There's a scene with a chain rope. You're just like, holy shit! Like, what? And it's like, it's brutal. And the last scenes were really brutal. But again, it felt like I was watching this one scene, especially when a club, when it's packed full of people and their guns going off, people fighting people, and they're just dancing, ignoring the fact that like someone just got shot and killed. And again, we saw that in John Wick, where he would John Wick 1, John Wick, I think even John Wick 2 and 3, all 4 movies where he's in a club, he's a fight going on, people getting killed, people getting shot at, people are still like dancing, ignoring the gunshots. And there's a scene that's taken right out of John Wick where I was like, saw that in John Wick, saw this in Equalizer, saw this in this. Saw this in The Accountant, saw this in Jack Reacher, and I was like, oh man. So I mean, it felt very derivative. It felt just like really just like, how about not one movie with this guy? Yeah, put it in here. Put this in here. It was like kind of like they collected like other like other scenes from other action films put into one. It was like, it would be like what, a compilation or like kind of like a like greatest hits of all the action movies of the past 20 years. Some with Statham, like. I don't know about this one, guys. And so halfway in, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of bored. I'm kind of checked out. Yeah, I do appreciate when films are shot on real locations and practical sets and practical, fights and all that jazz. Again, because nowadays it's so much cheaper and easier to shoot on a green screen in someone's backyard, or someone's garage, and whatever for lower tax returns, whatever. I get it for tax incentives, but this movie is made by Black Bear, and Black Bear is a independently production company. So again, when real sets are used and real locations are used for filming and scenes, I'm like, cool, it works. It works for me. So again, seeing this movie actually shot on real location, real sets, I was like, I love that. So I give that props for that. And again, and the fight scenes are fun to watch. And the score is very upbeat, has a very John Wick-esque, very kind of John Wick. And a lot of things are taken from John Wick in this, where I was like, okay, do you want to be John Wick? Do you want to be the next John Wick? Do you want to, are you auditioning for the next John Wick? It's like, Statham, we know you've been doing this for forever now. Like, you're a badass. When I see stuff like this, so I'm like, dude, go back to doing like a spy. Do a Snatch again. Snatch is he's so good in Snatch because he's playing against type. And again, Spy, he's taking the piss out of himself, where he make fun of himself playing this kind of like overly tough macho action person, and he's so funny. He's so funny in Spy. So I mean, overall, it's just kind of like, okay. And Bill, again, people in this supporting cast like Bill Nye, who I'm a huge fan of, Naomi Aki, who also I'm a huge fan of as well. It just kind of felt like a paycheck movie. Like, okay, you want to be the Statham movie? Cool. How much to make? How much it cost? 80 mil. Get a fat check. Here you go. And I think it did like 5th place when it came out last weekend. I think it came out the same weekend as Send Help, so week and a half ago. And I don't think Statham. I mean, I think there's still a very, very, very big market for Statham movies and action movies like this caliber. Don't get me wrong. But this kind of just felt really uninspired, unoriginal, and just really kind of like lackluster to a point. I was like, man, did he want to be here? Did he want to do this movie, or just kind of and he produced it too? This is a paycheck movie. I will warn you, I got a little upset about this. There's a dog death in this. Speaking of John Wick, that kind of upset me. So if you have a problem with violence against animals, violence against dogs, if you're a dog owner like myself, this scene gets a little tough, where I was like, yeah, that bothered me a little bit, and I was like, oof. So just a fair warning. But again, I've seen worse movies. I've seen movies that were just like, oh, this movie is terrible. But like I said, 20 minutes into this, half hours into it, I kind of predicted, okay, what's gonna happen with this? Or okay, it's gonna happen for sure. And there was times where it was like he would make decisions where I was like, wouldn't that kind of contradict what this person? I was like, what? So a lot of things didn't really add up or make sense, or the fact check on this, where I was like, this doesn't work. But again, it's predictable, it's cliched. But again, I still had a little bit of a decent time in this movie, but nothing to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, it was good. So I guess maybe a 4 out of 10. It's kind of forgettable. I saw it a week ago, very kind of forgettable. I remember when the movie began, there was a family of like maybe 5 or 6 people walk in, sat in the middle row, and they were loving it. So again, I know that people who love Statham, old school action movies, will probably find this on like streaming or on DVD or on it's not Tubi, but no, like maybe on like a Blu-ray sale or DVD sale, whatever. But it's your typical run of the mill, on the hunt. Again, Jason Statham, looking survival manhunt movie. You're like, okay, I've seen this before, and Beekeeper, I've seen this before in this movie, or in Safe, and it's like, okay, so it's like, this is his genre. He knows what he's doing. This won't blow you away. So, but again, it's a solid little action movie. Still 4 out of 10. Nothing right about. This is definitely kind of like, hey, skip this. I mean, if you want to see it, rent it. But even then, I'd be like, wait for streaming. If not, you skip this one, because it's nothing special, nothing new. So hey, those are my movies of this week, everybody. So again, very one more higher profile movie was Send Help, and one not so much was Shelter. And I think I found out Shelter like a week before, or the week it came out. I was like, what's coming out? What's this movie? And I was like, I like Statham, I'll watch this. But yeah, it was easy for your paint by numbers, typical. I was like, oh, predictable. I was like, yep, okay. Oh, he's MI5 didn't like him. He tried to bury me, and I'm like, you should have tried harder, because you're doing this again. So I do hope that I want to see him going to do different things, or again play against type again, in that kind of way. But that's just me. But yeah, guys, that is my review Roundup episode for you all this week. Like I said, look out for a other full episode of the podcast with me and the guys. Can't talk about all our favorite rom-coms and review Crime 101 for you all. Again, my Crime 101 review, my reaction right now are on our TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. Look out for that. A lot of cool things in the pipeline, guys. Of course, we're teasing a lot of cool things for February and a lot of cool things in March. So again, stay well, stay safe, and happy early Valentine's Day to everyone who celebrates or didn't celebrate. We love you, of course, from the show, from the podcast. And more importantly, as always, everybody, we will see you all at the movies.